Look at you, still wearing those cheap clothes, Vanessa smirked as she sauntered into my living room, her designer handbag swinging from her freshly manicured fingers. I, on the other hand, just had the most amazing transformation. Want to guess how much my new face cost? I stared at my sister-in-law, my heart pounding against my chest as the realization hit me. The sudden changes in her appearance, the bandages barely hidden by her expensive sunglasses, and that smug smile that seemed even more pronounced than usual. It all made terrible sense. "You didn't," I whispered, my fingers clutching the edge of my coffee table. "My name is Olivia Chen, and at 32, I just discovered my sister-in-law had stolen my $300,000 inheritance to fund her extreme plastic surgery makeover. The money my grandmother had left me, meant to start my own small animal rescue, gone. All because I trusted my husband when he said adding Vanessa to our joint account would help with family expenses while she got back on her feet. Oh, but I did." Vanessa practically sang, settling herself onto my couch like she owned it. "And honestly, you should thank me. That money was just sitting there, while I put it to good use. Look at how gorgeous I am now." I felt my world spinning, but years of working as a veterinary technician had taught me to keep calm in crisis situations. "Does Marcus know about this?" I asked, referring to my husband, her brother. Vanessa's new lips curled into a cruel smile. "Marcus? Please, he's been so busy with his new promotion, he barely checks the accounts anymore. Besides, what's he going to do? I'm his baby sister." She was right about one thing. Marcus had been distracted lately, pulling long hours at his new executive position. We barely talked anymore, ships passing in the night. I'd been waiting for the right moment to tell him about my plans for the inheritance, to show him the business plan I carefully crafted for my rescue center. Now it seemed that moment would never come. "You had no right," I said, my voice steady despite the trembling in my hands. "That money was left to me by my grandmother. She knew how much I wanted to help animals, to make a difference." "Oh, spare me the St. Olivia routine," Vanessa cut in, rolling her eyes. "Your precious little animal shelter dream. Get real, I've done you a favor. Now you can stop pretending you're anything more than Marcus's plain little wife. At least one of us is doing something meaningful with their life." The casual cruelty of her words hit me like physical blows, but I refused to give her the satisfaction of seeing me cry. Instead, I thought about the last conversation I'd had with my grandmother, just days before she'd passed away. "Olivia, my dear," she'd said, her fragile hand squeezing mine. "I've watched you work so hard, saving every penny, helping every stray that crossed your path. This money, it's not just an inheritance, it's an investment in your dreams. Don't let anyone take that away from you." I promised her I wouldn't, and now here I was, watching my sister-in-law flaunt her stolen surgery, paid for with my grandmother's legacy. "You should leave now," I said quietly, standing up. "And Vanessa, you might want to ice that nose. It's starting to look a bit swollen." Her hand flew to her face, panic briefly replacing her smugness. Good. At least the queen of perfection still had something to worry about. After she left, I sat down at my computer and began to type. First, I pulled up all the bank statements, documenting every transfer Vanessa had made. Then I started researching the plastic surgery center she'd used, their policies, their payment procedures, their legal obligations regarding fraudulent payments. What Vanessa didn't know was that before becoming a vet tech, I'd spent 3 years working in medical insurance claims. I knew exactly how these high-end clinics operated, and more importantly, I knew their weaknesses. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "Working late again. Don't wait up." I stared at the message, thinking about how distant we'd become, how he'd insisted I add Vanessa to our account despite my misgivings. "She's family," he'd said. "Don't you trust me?" Well, he was right about one thing. She was family, and sometimes family needed to learn the hard way about consequences. I opened my email and began composing a message to the surgery center's compliance department, then another to my grandmother's lawyer, who'd helped set up the inheritance. Finally, I reached out to my old colleague from the insurance company, the one who now worked as a fraud investigator. Vanessa thought she'd won, that her new face was worth destroying my dreams, but she'd forgotten something crucial about me. I'd spent my entire career helping injured animals heal. I knew all about patience, about waiting for the right moment to act, about the importance of thorough documentation. And most importantly, I knew that sometimes the best revenge wasn't swift or dramatic. Sometimes it was methodical, carefully planned and executed with surgical precision. As I worked late into the night, gathering evidence and building my case, I thought about my grandmother's words again. Don't let anyone take that away from you. Don't worry, Gran, I thought as I attached the final documents to my emails. I won't. Vanessa wanted a transformation. Well, she was about to get one, just not the kind she paid for with my money. The response from the surgery center's compliance department arrived faster than I expected. Dear Ms. Chen, we take allegations of fraudulent payments very seriously. Our legal team will be in touch within 24 hours. I closed my laptop and looked at the empty side of our bed where Marcus should have been. It was 2 a.m. and he still wasn't home. Another late night at the office, or so he claimed. Part of me wondered if he already knew what his sister had done. My phone buzzed with a text from Vanessa. Having some complications with the healing. Need another $5,000 for follow-up procedures. Take it from the account or I'll tell Marcus about your secret meetings with his boss. I stared at the message, almost laughing at her attempt at blackmail. The secret meetings had been about planning Marcus's surprise birthday party 3 months ago. But Vanessa had always been good at twisting reality to suit her needs. The next morning, I walked into the veterinary clinic where I worked, trying to maintain my normal routine. I was checking on a recovering German Shepherd when my phone rang. Marcus's boss, David. Olivia. Just got a strange call from the fraud department at First National. Something about large transfers to a plastic surgery center. They're asking about signatures and authorizations. My heart raced. The wheels were already in motion. Yes, I was going to talk to you about that. My sister-in-law made some unauthorized transactions. I may need to take a few personal days to handle this. David's voice softened. Take all the time you need. And Olivia? Marcus doesn't know yet, does he? No, I admitted. I'm handling it my way first. After hanging up, I checked my email. The surgery center's legal team had sent a detailed questionnaire about the transactions. They were particularly interested in the intake forms Vanessa had signed, forms where she claimed the money was gifted to her. I filled out everything meticulously, attaching bank statements, text messages, and emails that proved the money was my inheritance. Then I added the recent blackmail attempt for good measure. Just as I finished, the clinic's front door chimed. I looked up to see Vanessa storming in, her face partly obscured by large sunglasses despite the cloudy day. What did you do? She hissed, getting dangerously close to the counter where a mother and her child were filling out paperwork. The surgery center just called. They're talking about payment verification and fraud investigations. I smiled politely at the startled clients before leading Vanessa to a private examination room. Lower your voice, I said calmly. You wouldn't want to strain your newly reconstructed vocal cords. She ripped off her sunglasses, revealing significant bruising around her eyes. Fix this now, she demanded. Tell them it was a gift. Tell them you authorized everything. I leaned against the examination table, crossing my arms. Like you told Marcus about taking the money? Or did you think I wouldn't notice the forged signatures on the transfer documents? Vanessa's face, what was visible under the swelling, paled slightly. He's my brother. He'll understand once I explain. Explain what? I cut in. How you stole his wife's inheritance? How you forged documents? How you tried to blackmail me this morning? The surgery center has quite a thick file on you now, Vanessa, and it's not just them asking questions. She grabbed my arm, her manicured nails digging into my skin. You don't want to do this, Olivia. I can make your life very difficult. Who do you think Marcus will believe? His loving sister or his boring little wife who's never quite fit into the family? I carefully removed her hand, noting the fresh bruises her grip had left. That's assault, Vanessa. In a medical facility with cameras. Would you like me to add that to the file too? For the first time, I saw real fear flash across her face. What do you want? She whispered. I want my money back, every penny, plus interest. You have 48 hours to figure it out before I let the investigation proceed. Oh, and you might want to ice that eye. The swelling's getting worse. After she stormed out, I documented the assault and added the security footage to my growing file. Then I called my grandmother's lawyer again. The surgery center's preparing to reverse the procedures, he confirmed. They can't risk a fraud investigation. Their reputation would be ruined. But Olivia, you should know. Marcus called me this morning. My heart stopped. What did you tell him? The truth. That his sister stole your inheritance and used it for unauthorized cosmetic procedures. He's not taking it well. I thanked him and hung up, my hands shaking slightly. Then I heard familiar footsteps in the hallway. Marcus. He appeared in the doorway of the examination room, his face ashen. "Tell me it's not true," he said quietly. "Tell me my sister didn't steal from you." I pulled out my phone and showed him the documentation. The transfers, the forged signatures, this morning's blackmail attempt. With each swipe, his expression grew darker. "I trusted her," he said, his voice breaking. "I insisted you add her to the account. This is my fault." "No," I replied, touching his arm gently. "It's Vanessa's fault, and she's going to fix it." Just then, my phone buzzed with another message from Vanessa. "You win. I'm taking out a loan to repay everything, but don't think this is over." I showed Marcus the text. "She's right about one thing," I said. "It's not over. The surgery center is launching a full investigation into her case. Apparently, she's not the first person to try this kind of fraud." Marcus sat heavily in the nearest chair. "All those late nights I've been working. I was trying to save up to help you start your animal rescue. I wanted it to be a surprise. And all this time, Vanessa was—" I felt tears prick my eyes for the first time since this began. "We'll start over," I said firmly. "Together. But first, your sister needs to learn that actions have consequences." As if on cue, my phone rang, the surgery center's legal team. They wanted to know if I pressed charges once their investigation was complete. I looked at Marcus, who nodded slowly. "Yes," I said into the phone. "I think it's time everyone learned exactly what happens when you steal someone else's dreams." 3 months later, I stood in front of the newly renovated building that would soon become Hope's Haven Animal Rescue, named after my grandmother. The inheritance money had been fully restored with interest after the surgery center's investigation concluded. Vanessa hadn't gone quietly. The day after she took up a loan to repay me, she'd shown up at our house, her partially reversed procedures making her face look oddly distorted. "You've ruined everything," she'd screamed, mascara running down her cheeks. "The surgery center's filing a report about me. Do you know what this will do to my reputation?" "About the same thing you tried to do to my dreams," I'd replied calmly, watching as Marcus escorted his sister off our property. The surgery center's investigation had revealed a pattern. Vanessa had attempted similar schemes before, using other people's accounts and forged documents. The only difference was that this time she'd picked the wrong target. "You did the right thing," Marcus said now, standing beside me as we looked at the rescue center's fresh paint and new signage. Vanessa needed to face consequences for once in her life. He'd been true to his word about starting over together. The long nights at the office had turned into evenings spent helping me plan the rescue center. Every wall we'd painted, every renovation we'd overseen, had helped rebuild not just the building, but our trust in each other. My phone buzzed. A text from David, Marcus's boss. "Board approved your proposal. The company's annual charity donation will go to Hope's Haven. Congratulations." I showed Marcus the message, feeling tears of joy fill my eyes. The rescue center would have corporate backing, ensuring we could help even more animals than I'd originally planned. "Look who finally showed up," Marcus muttered, nodding toward the street. Their parents were walking toward us, looking uncomfortable but determined. They hadn't spoken to us since Vanessa's schemes were exposed, choosing instead to believe her claims of being set up. "We owe you an apology," their father said gruffly. We found out about the other incidents, the pattern of behavior we ignored for too long." Vanessa's agreed to get counseling, their mother added quietly. "Real counseling, not just cosmetic fixes." I nodded, accepting their words but maintaining my distance. Trust, like the rescue center, would need to be rebuilt slowly, with careful attention to foundation and structure. Later that evening, as Marcus and I sat on our porch swing, I pulled out the last photo taken of my grandmother and me. "What do you think she'd say about all this?" I asked. Marcus smiled, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. "I think she'd say her granddaughter turned out to be exactly who she knew you were, someone who doesn't just rescue animals, but knows how to stand up for what's right." A week later, we held the grand opening of Hope's Haven. As I cut the ribbon, surrounded by supporters and 4 livid friends waiting for their forever homes, I caught a glimpse of someone watching from across the street. Vanessa, her face now mostly healed but noticeably different from her original features, stood in the shadows. Our eyes met briefly before she turned and walked away, her designer handbag replaced by a sensible tote. her confident strut now a humble stride. I focused back on the ceremony, on the dreams that were finally becoming reality. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about getting better, about building something meaningful from the ashes of betrayal. Ready to start saving lives? Marcus asked, holding open the door to our new rescue center. I smiled, thinking of my grandmother's words about not letting anyone take away my dreams. More than ready, I replied. After all, everyone deserves a chance at transformation, even if it's not the kind they originally had in mind. As we walked into Hope's Haven together, I knew this was just the beginning. Not just of my dream to help animals in need, but of a new chapter where I'd finally learned to stand up for myself, to protect what mattered, and to turn betrayal into something beautiful. The first rescue dog we'd taken in, a three-legged pit bull with soulful eyes, thumped his tail in greeting. Sometimes the best transformations I realized weren't the ones you paid for with stolen money. They were the ones you earned through perseverance, integrity, and the courage to stand up for what was right.